Hey, what is going on, crypto people? Happy Generational Wealth Wednesday to each and every one of you. Whoa, what an exciting time to be an early adopter in this new asset class that is the digital asset space. Listen, my friends, you and I, we're playing the game that 99.99% of the masses don't even know is being played, and we are winning. But I can tell you who knows what game is being played, and that is Wall Street. Listen to the interview today with Thinking Crypto, Tony from Thinking Crypto and Stephen Neria. Shout out to Tony. That was an excellent interview, bro. Stephen laid it out like the real deal. And I don't know if you might want to call it a pivot or not, but he laid out the real deal, and it makes perfectly good sense. Perfectly good. Look, the FBI getting involved in crypto, the FBI getting involved and wanting names of people in crypto. Come on. You got to know that someone pulls the FBI strings. The FBI takes orders. Congress wasn't involved in that. Who was? There's a reason why they call them the banksters. Like, there's a serious reason why they call them the banksters. It makes all sense. I hope you guys had a chance to listen to Tony from Thinking Crypto interview and Stephen Neria. I hope you had a chance to listen to that. It makes perfectly good sense, and it also makes sense to why they sued Ripple, why they continued that suit, why Gensler didn't drop it when he could have, why they continued on, why the suit was brought on from the beginning. It makes perfectly good sense, especially considering what BlackRock is doing right now. Especially what BlackRock is doing right now. Alex Sheets in the building. What's going on, my friend? Kyle T. Moore is in the building as well. How are you, bro? How are you? Generational Wealth Wednesday. Did you check out that my last play there on the RWA, latest video in the mastermind, in the Patreon group? I'm telling you, patreon.com/golf whiskey mastermind, GWW mastermind. Check it out. It'll be well been more worth the money to get involved there. I'm telling you. We're up big time on our plays, especially in the RWAs. But listen, this interview with Stephen, I'm telling you, fam, that thing was very, very telling. And it plays out like, in reference to Stephen, it plays out like they were trying to tie up loose ends. I mean, it's like straight out the movies. They were trying to tie up loose ends. I don't know if I have this one queued up in this video that I do have queued up. But I don't know if I have this part. But Stephen Neria says that people came to him, or someone came to him and said, man, it really feels like Joseph Lubin was a plant in Ethereum from the banks. He said that someone came to him and told him that. It's like, man, it really feels like Joseph Lubin was just like a plant for the banks. And Lubin said that JP Morgan was involved in this thing before. Now, he used mainnet, right? So that's right, because before mainnet, that could also mean before the ICO. It could mean before anything. Saying before mainnet, that's a whole lot of time before mainnet. This is why Joseph he's very, very sneaky. He says, yeah, JP Morgan was involved before mainnet. Well, when? Day one? Well, when? I mean, the day that Vitalik Buterin got off the couch from the people at Ripple and leveraged their idea? When? Before mainnet, there's a whole bunch of time before mainnet. And Joe Lubin said that JP Morgan was involved before mainnet. You understand? But to me, he's saying without saying that Joseph Lubin was involved from the beginning. That's what it sounds like to me. That's what it sounds like to me. Listen, we're going to go over the numbers because the market is doing what the market does. I'm going to add to my position here on the factor today. That's another RWA play. We're going to go over those numbers. Bitcoin's doing what it does. We'll go over that for sure. But I do want to play this interview. How many of you guys had a chance to check out this interview from Tony from Thinking Crypto interviewing Stephen Neria? Let me know if you guys had a chance to check that out while I pull up CoinGecko here and get the good numbers, get the good stuff for you. Pepe fork, unbelievable. 66, okay. I can get factor for $5 per dollar. So yeah, I think I'll do that. Let's go here. How many of you guys had a chance to check out that interview? Let me do this. Make sure I got that right. I'm telling you, that was a really, really good interview. Guys, do me a favor, hit that like button on the way in. It's super, super awesome. Helps with the channel for sure. And if you've been hanging out watching the Crypto Siege, please consider subscribing to the channel. Let's get to 10,000 subs as fast as humanly possible. Got to get the word out about what's going on. I mean, it's brutal. It is absolutely brutal. Let's go over these numbers real quick while we let people check on Generational Wealth Wednesday for sure. But I got to tell you, man, Stephen lays some stuff out that makes perfectly good sense. You got to remember his background as well as an attorney. That's why I tell people need to just calm down and just listen to Jimmy Valley. Just listen and get a different perspective. You don't have to agree with the dude, but listen and get a different perspective. People like Jimmy Valley, people like Stephen Neria, they walk in different circles than the average person. They are exposed to some stuff that you and I, like, a lot of times just aren't even privy to. You know what I mean? So you get exposed to some stuff, and there's different conversations exposes you to the dirty, the stuff. It turns you on to the good, the bad, the ugly, some stuff that you think, man, how did this person think of something so corrupt with something so deviant? The attorneys are involved in that stuff. Right? All right. So according to CoinGecko, let me refresh this. The total cryptocurrency market cap is out 2.62 trillion. Bitcoin dominance is 49.8%. Bitcoin is trading at $66,185. Ethereum is trading at $3,319. XRP is trading at 57 cents. Solana is the number 5. Goodness gracious. It's trading in the total market cap is at $186. I think there's like a happening going on with Bitcoin Cash, kind of similar to Bitcoin that's coming up. And that's why Bitcoin Cash was up a bunch just yesterday. So there it is, right? The market doing what it does. I'm told I'm entitled to some airdrop. It's like a 24-hour window. It's like, who has time to, check these windows? 24 hours? What the world? So I probably will not snatch that up. Look at Core up 200 and something percent on the 7-day. Interesting. That's like a layer 1 kind of, it might be a layer 2 blockchain thing. It's Bitcoin. It is Bitcoin. I played on it a little bit because I was airdrop farming some other stuff. But anyway, that's the market. It's doing what it does. I'm going to get in this video after I say hello to make sure no one else, who else might have checked on the stream here. Let's do this. I'm telling you, this is something. Marvin Davis is in the building. Marvin Davis says, "Hey brother, what is Factors ticker and on what exchange?" I used Uniswap. I use the DEX and Polygon, and it is FACTR. FACTR, and it's D factor. But the ticker symbol is FACTR. RWA play, my guy. Appreciate you checking in, Marvin. So let me go over this real quick. this video, I just got to tell you, man, why do I keep pulling that up? This video. Am I doing something wrong? Oh, yeah, I am doing something wrong. Let's do this. Let's go right to the video. This interview was golden, golden, golden. I want you to just kind of check out this question that Tony asked Stephen Neria. I'm trying to get it from the beginning. Yeah, this is probably better to do it this way.
Which means it had to predate Hinman getting there. So my very strong belief, based on all these facts, is they're inferences. So I want to be clear about that. But you call me conspiracy theory, but they're very logical inferences, and we will get to discovery through my lawsuit. Is that Hinman and Clayton were actually sent to the SEC for this, primarily this very specific purpose, to give monopolization, halo and favoritism to Ethereum over all of this.
Right, all other cryptos. Like, who sent them there? Who sent them there? And it's not just where Hinman came from, or where Clayton went back to or came from. It, in my humble opinion, it involves Sullivan and Cromwell, and it involves the two law firms. But the challenge is, who are their clients that want to have this move made? Who wants to have that done? Who's navigating, if you will, this Ethereum Enterprise Alliance, et cetera, et cetera. And the reason why I bring this up is, if Stephen gets to this point, like, he's not dreaming. Doesn't mean that he's right, but he's not dreaming. Where he's coming from is a perspective, a background of having been there, having been in places, having been to this, right? This road is not one that is less traveled. It is less traveled by you and I, but it is not one that is less traveled by people like Stephen, by people like Jimmy Valet. You understand what I'm saying? They've been in the courtrooms, they've been in meetings, they've met with people who think like this and do things like this. The dude said it looks like, to him, he has to have some reference, right? That both Clayton and Hinman were sent there to try to get this monopoly done. And the $64 trillion question is, who sent them there? We can go to the attorneys, the law firms, but the law firms not working for themselves. They have clients, right? They have clients. Do you understand? They have clients. Now, Sullivan Cromwell, that's a whole nother level of what they do. They're not just some law firm with a bunch of law offices all around the country and all around the world. You understand? It's bigger than that. And when you hear Stephen someone say to him, it feels like who says that? It feels like Lubin was a plant from the bank. Like, who says that? What would give them? This is in the days of this thing going on. I know we say on our channel all the time, we all know that he has a background with Wall Street. I don't know if it was from Goldman's or from somewhere else. He has a background. And do you really think it's above and beyond the scopes and mentality of a JP Morgan or a Goldman Sachs, right, to send someone in to get a thing done, to make sure that the digital asset space is not something that the people have, is that they control? Do you think it's beyond them to do something like that? To the no. You guys we're right. Most people are all alarmed by the things that we hear that Bank of America and JP Morgan and Chase Bank have done? What about the things that we haven't heard? Everyone gets up in arms about all these fines. Those are the things that we've heard. What about the stuff that they've done that we have not heard about?
Crypto.
Wow. But, and this may be a tough question to answer, because if that's the case, right, let's say that they were sent there to get this going, and we see some of the things that played out, the lawsuit against Ripple and so forth. Who's the head of the snake here? Who's spearheading this, I guess is my question, to coordinate all of that?
Wow. Some of those cartoons you see like a snake with many heads.
Medusa or something, yeah.
So there's certainly snakes in here. Well, what I can say is this. If you back up for a second and zoom out, why is the SEC from Clayton and Hinman in one administration giving favoritism to an entity that appears to be controlled by a CCP affiliated company? And then fast forward to Gensler doing exactly the same thing with Prometheum.
Yeah.
Controlled by the very publicly.
So what he's saying is, why would Clayton and right and Hinman do something that he's talking about Ethereum being primarily all the Ethereum stuff owned by certain entities, certainly blockchain, and then Gensler comes in and does the same thing with Prometheum, where everyone knows that's a CCP thing. Why do you have two different chairmen, two different SEC executive officials still aligning themselves with the CCP? This is why we say in the channel all the time, those who have sacrificed their country for personal profit, but they have sacrificed their country because that government is not our friend. They don't want us to win. They don't want us to prosper.
The same CCP affiliated entity. That's a scary thought, right? So, like, has the CCP infiltrated our administrative state and higher? I don't know. I can't answer that definitively. What I can say is, there were, I helped architect T0. That was the first security token on the first security token exchange. Yet this license that was given, technically by FINRA, but which is, effectively reports to the SEC, by Gensler, was given to a company not only that was controlled by the CCP entity, but that has no product, no technology, that kind of nothing. And it looks like, snake oil. And yet you've got a company that in T0, which is now owned by the New York Stock Exchange, ICE, International Continental Exchange, and he doesn't give it to them. An American, large, $100+ billion market cap, New York Stock Exchange. They own the New York Stock Exchange, but they're also listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Doesn't give it to them.
So you don't give it to ICE, who owns the New York Stock Exchange, but you give it to this dude and Prometheum. You see what I'm saying? You can't make that make sense. Right? What's going on, Legendary? Right? You can't make that make sense. Right? I mean, he says that. How do you give it to Prometheum and you don't give it to the Intercontinental Exchange? We were all excited about ICE. Remember how excited we are? We thought they were going to launch and all this other stuff. It owns the NASDAQ, the New York Stock Exchange, rather. Right? Who's in charge of a decision like that? Well, ultimately, if the current administration has sacrificed this country for personal profit, this is where it comes from. This is where that kind of stuff happens. Everybody is not, it's nothing private about the sibling and the son and what, and that's all, it's all out. It's directly tied. Getting funds, getting paid by the enemy. I mean, it's there. Take a check out this part. This was interesting because he lays this out here, and I think he just brilliantly lays it out. It's just the second time he said it. He said this early in the video as well. But I think Tony wasn't quite getting what he was saying, so he kind of asked it again. So let me say.
Well, I think it will. I think the ETF, sure, the ETF is always a possibility, but I don't think that's the direction that they're headed in.
He said, I think the ETF, the Ethereum ETF is a possibility, but I don't think that's the direction that they're heading in. Now, Laura Shen just did an interview. With two other people, and the highlight of the video, or how they show clips of the video in the beginning before you watch the whole video, the dude said that this whole thing and what the SEC is looking to do is really to bring up enough evidence and stuff and so that they don't approve the Ethereum ETF, so that they can go about doing what Stephen Narioff and what Wall Street really wants, which is to make Ethereum a security. And then the likes of BlackRock, et cetera, can build on it and essentially own it and tokenize everything, because that is bigger than crypto. So let me make sure I go to the right part here. Nope. That's good right there.
And to categorize ETH as a security, we touched a bit on that, right? The Prometheum strategy and so forth. So in context of the ETH ETF, do you think this is
listen closely,
something to block that ETF, and also to, like you said, push this tokenization security aspect to Wall Street?
Well, I think it will. I think the ETF, sure, the ETF is always a possibility, but I don't think that's the direction that they're headed in now. I think they realized that was kind of DOA, dead on arrival. Hopefully my emergence had something to do with that. But they're saying, how do we cover up everything that's happened in the past and still benefit from this control that we have over Ethereum and utilizing Ethereum for our own purposes? I think that's the dual new mandate that Gensler has.
And if Gensler has that mandate, and we all know he's doing the bidding of, he's taking direction from Elizabeth Warren, who is doing the bidding of who? The banksters. The banksters, in particular JP Morgan. Because we must never forget the fact that JP Morgan sent about 15 of their people to the offices of Ripple, who directed the second largest blockchain, the second blockchain essentially that wasn't a Bitcoin fork ever created. So Wall Street weren't interested in Bitcoin gold and any forks. They came to the next blockchain. And Ripple said, thank you, but no thank you. You got to understand that. And then you got Joseph Lubin saying publicly on tape, on video, that JP Morgan was involved before the Ethereum mainnet, which means it could have been involved day one. You see what I'm saying? So how can we now, he's going to tell you, but how can we now, let's try to not get our guy who we planted, and I'm just saying, and Joe Lubin, let's try not to get him in trouble, right? So what we can do is, from the point that Ethereum moved from proof of work to proof of stake, then the issues arise. There's no issues before that. Let's just put that aside. So that'll include anything that Joseph Lubin is saying. It's gonna include any of his ICO stuff. It's gonna get rid of all that. We're gonna focus on the moment that Ethereum decided and or moved to proof of stake and go forward from then. Then we can bring some stuff. Then we're gonna take it from that point, and we're gonna put aside all the other stuff. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. Now, how can we, my pals at Goldman and JP Morgan, benefit from Ethereum being a security? Oh, why would BlackRock, out of all the chains, why would BlackRock choose Ethereum to begin its tokenization thing? Their product is security. That's why they hooked up with Securitized.
My answer was with the CFTC. He was making comments, a long time ago. He's been talking about this for years, ever before he got to the SEC. He's the one who prosecuted this enforcement action. Him and Clayton just dropped it on their way out, like literally. And so, he's not, some people say, well, it didn't start under him. I'm not sure what that means. I mean, he continued it. And in many ways, with the enforcement action, he actually did the whole thing. I'll give him credit because it's, for being insidious. It's a rather clever way of covering up one's sins while still trying to make some use of the asset that they were trying to utilize to monopolize all of crypto. Maybe they won't monopolize all of crypto, but they may be able to monopolize all of tokenization of real world assets. And for those of you who don't understand, that's like a $4 quadrillion estimated market. The
4 quadrillion.
The world economy, I don't even think it's 100 trillion, something like that. 4 quadrillion is like 4,000 trillion. It's like 40 times the world economy, something like that,
That's the plan. That is the plan. And again, there's a reason why they call them the banksters. Right? There's a reason why they do that. And it makes perfectly sense. Perfect sense. He just said it. We might not be able to monopolize, create a monopoly around all of crypto, but we can create a monopoly around the tokenization of everything. This is what BlackRock is in the business of. BlackRock is not in the business of being second or third to a thing. There's a reason why they got the gig to rebuild the Ukraine, along with guess who? JP Morgan. To rebuild. Do you see what I'm saying? And again, attorneys can kind of go in this kind of direction because they've seen stuff like this before. And it's kind of making sense to why Gary Gensler is never answering the question about whether Ethereum is a security or not. right? But when BlackRock speaks, this is when everyone should listen to when BlackRock speaks, this is when everyone should listen, because BlackRock is telling you what's going to happen. Remember, we say in this channel all the time that BlackRock is, in fact, the fourth branch, executive branch of the United States government. That is without question. So if they're buying a bunch of real estate, got this stuff going on in places in New York now where people are being told that their family size is too small for the size of their home. So they got to move out of that home. And BlackRock and whatever the other Black one, they're buying up all of these homes. And there's going to be a stipend for about $15,000 a month to the people who own these homes that to house these migrants. Do you understand? Do you understand? What's going on, Dano? Makes perfectly good sense. You do this Prometheum thing, and maybe the reason they gave this license to Prometheum is to keep the likes of the Intercontinental Exchange from harm's way, if you will. So in any case, it makes perfectly good sense, because if there is a security, is right, who's going to own it, and right, who's going to be able to own it, right? Is that going to be a people's chain now? Will that be a people's chain? Will that be you understand what I'm saying? How much DeFi is going to be able to get done on there? I don't know. But I do know that if BlackRock wants to do DeFi on their chain that has been deemed security, BlackRock can. Do you see what I'm saying? Those people with those licenses, 4 quadrillion, the tokenization of real assets, 4 quadrillion. I think that's something that JP Morgan and BlackRock would be interested in. What's going on, Pookie? And maybe this was the plan from the beginning, or maybe they had to pivot, and this is what they came up with. And maybe staking is just kind of a way in to begin this plan. Who knows what happens with all these other ERC-20s, all these derivatives of Ethereum, who knows? But it wouldn't shock me at all, especially whenever JP Morgan is involved, that this will be the plan, because those kind of institutions would have everything that they need necessary to begin this whole tokenization of stuff. It's odd to me that they picked Ethereum as the blockchain, but again, it's not. So something to pay attention to. I wanted to kind of bring that to you guys today on Generational Wealth Wednesdays, because we got to understand that the digital asset space, we were here first. It's our chance to win. This is the reason why the ETHgate thing is important in exposing United States entities that would get themselves involved in such a monopoly, trying to create a monopoly. That this is why Jimmy and Ballet and some others, they just don't kind of let it go because of the infiltration. It's hugely, hugely important to get that. I hope you guys get that. What's going on, Pookie? Dano did tree work in Cedar Park today. Dang, that used to be all farmland. Not anymore. No, not anymore. You're right about that. So this is kind of where we are. And I wanted to share that with you guys just for the bigger picture. And again, Stephen walks in places, and he's in these meetings and he's having these conversations with people who would come up with something like that. I think that's why he can put two and two together so easily. So easily. So that's kind of where we are. How does that affect us? Is going to be interesting to say. But Ethereum being what it is, Ethereum and all the dApps and all the other kind of stuff, that takes up, that may take access away from a lot of people. This whole security thing. It's interesting that Bankless, the people from Bankless had the guy from Securitize on today interviewing him. I'm not sure if the people from Bankless understand. Let me see if I can find this here because Stephen Neria, yeah, I'll share this with you. He commented on this. It's very interesting. So this is the guy from Securitize, the Spanish guy, I forget his name. Premier, BlackRock's $10 trillion bet on Ethereum. The largest institutions in the world are here and they're tokenizing their assets. We knew this was big, but after recording this episode, we realized this is an even bigger deal than we thought. Stephen Arieff commented on that and said, monopolizing crypto at the hands of the government and big institutions. They never respond. They never respond to anything, but they don't want to kind of, because I mean, these guys, had nothing to do with this, right? People from Bankless didn't have anything to do with JP Morgan and others who may have gotten involved and been pulling the strings and planting people like Clayton and Hinman and Joseph Lubin, possibly. They weren't part of that, right? But it's interesting that that he commented there. Very, very interesting. So that's kind of the fight, fam. That is the fight. All right, fam. There it is. I just wanted to bring that to you guys today. Some food for thought for sure. I'll be sharing in the Patreon group my latest, my next 2 or 3 plays on the end for some big runs in crypto coming up. It's going to be some really good ones. So if you guys are interested, you can always go to the patreon.com/GWW Mastermind. Come hang out. Paul Bogle's in the building. You missed the whole stream, bro. You're going to have to catch that replay, my guy. So, I mean, makes perfectly good sense to me that they would do that. I mean, perfectly. There's no way I could put anything behind past JP Morgan. And this is why, again, the lawsuit, in my opinion. They said no to Ripple said no to them. And JP Morgan said, what can you do about these people over here who said no to us? Because why else would Mr. Grunfeld be so alarmingly shocked by bringing this lawsuit? And most assuredly, why would he be just in utter belief that they would sue the people personally? Because it's personal. It's personal. Personal. So it's going to be interesting. I wish I had let me see something. Let me see if I got this. I don't know if I was watching that on YouTube. Where was I? Where did I see this Laura Shin thing? I think, let's see if I. Oh, yeah, it's right here. So, yeah, this is part of the highlights. So let me see if I can share this real quick. Am I sharing? See if we can't take and listen to this from the beginning. This guy in the middle is the one who says it. I thought it was fascinating. So let's do this.
I think what
So I think it would be utterly ridiculous at this point for the SEC to bring a case alleging ETH is a security. I don't think they're going to sue the ETH Foundation. I don't think this is going to be an ETH case. I think this is an evidence gathering mission to prepare for litigation over the ETH spot ETF.
To prepare litigation over the spot ETF. Right? Over the spot ETF. And they're like, okay, so what we're going to do, this is what what's his name is saying. Stephen is saying, we're not going in that direction. They've pivoted and they're going to do this tokenization thing, or maybe they always got two plans. You know what I'm saying? Well, we can't monopolize crypto. Okay, cool. We're gonna do this tokenization thing. Okay, we're not getting this Ethereum ETF. Okay, you're gonna make it a security. Cool. We're gonna do this thing. I mean, this buildle thing, I mean, it's no joke. BlackRock has spoken. BlackRock has spoken. Sure. All right, fam. So there it is. Thank you so much for hanging out. Rodwell Nobrega, what's going on, my guy? Paul Bogo, Pookie, legendary. Appreciate you guys checking in. Marvin Davis, I appreciate you checking in, my friend. Alex G and Kyle Timor, I appreciate each and every one of you guys checking in for sure. I'm going to wrap up this live stream like I do all my live streams and remind you guys of this. Old money doesn't want you to win. But that's okay, though, because you and I, we're already winning. And I would ask you to consider this. Perhaps ponder the idea or notion of living your life permissionless. I'll talk to you guys soon. See ya. Bye.